All right, everybody, welcome back to On Cycle. As always, I am Michael here with
Robbie.
Yeah, all right. And today we have a really great episode. We've had a lot of people come on in the last couple of weeks. We had Adam on, and we've had Connor on to talk about moving on to WGI, talking about going on to the DCI into the world class and starting in our DCI all age. Now we have a unique opportunity to have two guests on. We're joined by Grace and Caroline. All right. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hi.
All right. And we really wanted to have both you guys on today because we really want to talk about both of you moving on to do world class this year. You're both previous Buccaneers as well. Grace the last two seasons, Caroline last year. And kind of talk to you also about what it's like to be a woman in drum corps, right? And kind of some of those things. So that's what we're going to focus on, today's interview on. So for everybody out there, of course, before we get started, you got to do the normal stuff.
Yeah.
Click subscribe.
Sure.
There's no reason why you're not yet. I know how many people out there are watching this show and aren't subscribed yet. I'm telling you, you got to get on there and you got to press that like button, comment, let us know what's going on, especially if you are a young lady out there getting ready to go into drum corps or you've already done it.
Or thinking about it, honestly, even just if you're just considering it.
Yeah, drop it and ask questions. Both the ladies will probably you have YouTube. You can hop on and answer for yourselves, right?
Yep.
And talk about those kind of things too. It's a great way to interact with everybody in the community, especially about this particular topic, because I think it's pretty important to highlight a lot of those things. So let's start with introductions. Grace, I'll start with you. Why don't you just kind of give me your little background and what's going on?
Yeah. So my name's Grace, and I'm marched the last 2 years with Reading, and I played trumpet, and I'll be at Crossman this summer. But I had like the similar with Robbie, and I started as a woodwind player, and so I played flute all throughout high school. And then my senior year, I was like, I want to do drum corps. Like, this is so cool. So I just picked up trumpet, and that was like 2 years ago. And I started playing trumpet, and then now we're here.
Did you pick up trumpet like how long before you came to your first drum corps camp?
It was like 2 weeks of me playing trumpet.
Heck yeah, that's 2 weeks of lead time.
Yeah,
on me.
Yeah, I know. I thought, it was pretty bad. My first couple camps, like, it's quite the iconic story at this point of like. At my first time playing in front of them, I just cried. And like then at the banquet, they were like, "Oh, you've come so far. You cried in your audition." I was like, "Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks for talking about that."
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Right,
very fun time.
Right. So I've definitely grown a lot on trumpet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great like rags to riches kind of story. A little bit of somebody who has just the dream and the desire to do drum corps and not a ton of experience, no brass experience. Yeah. Crying in an audition and still being able to march, and coming back the next year. And personally, I think the whole corps, if you're out there writing, you recognize we all love Grace more than probably everybody else in the corps. So except for maybe our next guest, Caroline. Right. So Caroline, go ahead and give us your little background and introduction.
Yeah, I'm Caroline. I marched last year on Mellowfin with Reading Buccaneers. I'm marching this summer on Mellow again, yay, with the Madison Scouts. I go to Towson University. I'm now a drum major there, but I played Mellow the past 2 years, yay. And then I started marching when I was in 8th grade. I did my first season on flute, and then I went to go do indoor winds that year, and they were like, we have too many flutes, but you can play French horn, so do you want to play mellow? And I was like, okay, sure. And then I got into college, I marched all throughout high school, and I was like, I have big girl money. I can do big girl things, so I'm going to do drum corps.
Nice, yeah.
That's so interesting that you... Another woodwind to brass player, but you switched in indoor winds.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, I don't even know how many other people I can name that marched in a indoor winds group.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty new thing.
Yeah. Especially for high schools to pick it up and kind of get into it.
Yeah. I love that.
Where'd you go to high school to get an indoor winds group?
Northeast High School in Cecil County, Maryland, but our indoor group was CCIW, so it was a countywide thing.
Oh, that's pretty
That makes sense.
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
Nice. So that's great. Both of you guys are moving on into the big drum corps world, both with great organizations.
Yeah.
So I guess my question for each individually: what made you choose the groups that you're now with?
Yeah. I guess I'll start.
Sure.
So I originally auditioned somewhere else, and then I got cut from there, And then it's like, I have no idea where to go. Like, I don't know what to do now. And Paul from Bucks, hi Paul. The assistant caption at Crossman is someone who was captioned before at the Buccaneers. So he's like friends with him. So he messaged him and was like, hey, I have this really awesome trumpet player, and like really advocated for me and was like, she's really needs somewhere to go. Like, do you guys have any spots? And I just sent them my video. I sent it to him, John Madewell, and he gave me a contract off my video. So I was like,
Wow.
I'm going here, you know?
Wow, yeah.
And there's like a lot of the brass staff are Buccaneers or like just East Coast people. And when I went to a camp a month later, like I had already signed my contract, but I went to a camp and it was just all this, it felt very familiar because it felt very Buccaneer, if that makes sense. Like the brass staff are all East Coast guys. So it was a great vibe.
Yeah.
So
It's a really, I mean, and I love that you explain that entire thing, because I really think, again, like this podcast is the idea is to kind of help let everybody know that DCI all age is really valuable as a starting place, or even as a place to come back to after you age out. That your experience with us, knowing Paul, knowing you, and knowing the kind of character you have as a person, the kind of performer that you have, and your skill level and your abilities, that maybe you're not quite to what everybody else has, but drum corps is not just about what you can do at auditions.
Right.
It's about how you survive a season. Right.
Yeah.
And you do
how
that.
you can grow, how you can be a member.
Right.
And put forth that.
Yeah. So getting out there and getting in an all age activity and doing that gives you those skill sets and those legs up, and you meet people, right?
Yeah.
Because drum corps is about people, and you can have people that vouch for you, that kind of put their neck out on the line and go, hey, look, this person's worthwhile. You're going to have success with this person.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Hey, thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
On behalf.
Thank you,
right?
Paul, for my contract.
Right. So moving on, I'm very curious to see how you ended up at Madison.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about
I don't
that.
know anything about this, I don't think.
Yeah.
I just heard you were marching there. Yeah.
So similar story to Grace. I auditioned somewhere in January on a callback and got cut. I was like, oh no, I need to find somewhere to march. It's already January. So I think I emailed like 10 different corps, and I was like, I'm a mellow player. Here's the videos that I used for this other corps. Do you have spots? And the people who got back to me were Madison and another corps with offers for callbacks. And I was like, okay, cool. The reason I went with Madison was they had a camp before that other corps. And after that camp, I was offered a contract. And it was kind of still like do I go here? Do I go there type thing? But everyone had such positive things to say about Madison and the culture. And like,
That's great.
drum corps is such a scary thing to go into, from like the all age activity where it was weekends only to full time 2.5 months. And I was like, I wanted to go somewhere where I felt safe and where I was like, I know the culture here is good. I heard it from the band director at Towson, Jack Hope. Was like, Scouts is so great. Go to Scouts, go to Scouts, go to Scouts. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a whole 80 days of your life.
Yeah.
A whole 80 very stressful days of your life at
Yeah,
points.
exactly.
So yeah, like I think that's a great call to
Mhm.
make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of like, heck, I would trade a few like placement spots for that, honestly. If you're like, I don't know where the other corps that you were at normally places, but like, I would trade that, right? Because you want to be, you want to have a good time on tour,
Yeah.
right? You want to be happy while you're there.
Mhm.
Yeah. And over the last, I'll probably say like 10 years, maybe there's been, I don't want to say horror stories, but you hear what people have to go through to get placements in the kind of, I don't want to say treatment, because no corps, I like to believe that no corps treat their members really, really bad, but they do tend to push pretty hard. And that can kind of lead into maybe something that's you're not maybe quite ready for, or that maybe that's not the experience you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy you went that route too.
Yeah.
Good for you. And because that is exactly how I would have, if I had to go back and do it again, it's exactly how I would have chose, my experience too, is I just want to be someplace where I feel great. People around me are awesome. I feel safe, from that perspective. And and getting into those kind of things. So that's good. Are you guys both? When do you guys move in? I'll ask you guys about that.
The 29th. I think
29th.
You guys both
Yeah.
moved on the same day.
Same
Perfect,
day.
right?
Yeah.
That seems to be a pretty.
That's less than a week from today when we're
Yeah.
recording this.
Yeah. So you guys will be. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, if you're watching out there, it'll probably be 2 days afterwards.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you probably will have already
Wild.
moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes out, make sure you share it with both your corps and tell them that we're awesome and watch us on your downtime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You can be our guerrilla marketers.
Yeah. Just play it on a projector in the dorms.
Yeah.
It's
no,
like,
no,
look,
no,
guys.
every-
You're gonna have a
everybody-
long bus ride and be like, what should we watch? Should we watch a movie? And you're like, I've got an idea.
Honestly.
Everybody-
This is cool podcast.
Yeah.
you guys, if you're out there right now on a bus watching this podcast, everybody stop what you're doing, get on your phone,
And subscribe.
Yeah.
but also run it at the same time, and then just put your phone upside down and watch it on the screen on the thing. That way,
There
it's,
you go.
I
Our
got 50
watch
people
hours
watching.
sort of
This is soar
just
up there.
long.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, and I'll say this for the people out there because I try to be a little bit more out there. Part of our thing with this is, or with On Cycle Podcast, is once we get to a place where people are donating or offering us money or however we're doing that, we're taking everything that we earn, 50% of it, and giving it back to scholarships for drum corps. So you guys have
awesome.
a couple of years left, right? Because you're not, you're 20.
I have one more after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're.
I have one, technically two, but we'll see.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I got the golden year, but
Yeah. So once season's over, so scholarships made for you guys. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I ask everybody this, I asked Adam this and Connor this too, is coming into an all age activity, especially for young people, right? It's a little scary to come in and deal with people who have been around the activity for, for me, I've been 17, 26 years, whatever you want to count it from, right? It's been forever.
Super
Since-
duper vets.
Yes.
Old farts. You know.
Since before you were born, right? Like, I mean, you guys are almost the same age as my daughter. So, it's a weird environment to come into as a young person. So for both of you, your first experiences, what was the feeling that you guys had, or kind of like maybe apprehension as young members, and maybe even as young women that are coming into an activity that's predominantly male, and like what kind of helped you settle in, what kind of you were really scared about, or, can you just talk about your experience on that?
Yeah. I don't know where to go. I'll just go first all the time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Easy enough.
That works out good. I feel like I was saying this a couple weeks ago, like just having a few experiences with Crossman so far, like with the junior corps, it's been really great. And I think like the main difference I found between like the all age corps and that is that like the experience that the people around you have helps you so much. And I didn't even realize, like, because there's a bunch of kids at Crossman who've never done drum corps before, with other kids who have never done drum corps before.
Right.
Where like my first year, I stood in the arc between Steve and Tiago, which are like two super vets in the corps, you know?
Probably have a collective drum corps experience that adds up to your age.
Right.
30 years, yeah.
And
exactly.
And like just the little things that every now and then would be like, oh, I'd be, at standby and we're supposed to be at set, and one of them would be like, like, oh my god, would be like, we're at set right now, but like not make a big deal out of it is like was so helpful. Because also, like, I'm sure you guys remember my first year, I like only talked to Steve pretty much. Like I didn't talk to anybody except for the people right next to me.
It's rookie syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's everybody.
We all did it.
So it's like, I think like having that like experience and the like confidence around me really helped me a lot. But also like there wasn't really any, especially in 22, like we only had 9 women in the whole horn line.
Right.
So that was kind of like going in, even subconsciously, it's like there's no one here, at least in my section, who like I could really look up to as like, oh, you did the same thing as me. Like you're also like there was people I could look up to, but not in the same way of like the kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but
couldn't relate to like that specific
right,
part
exactly.
of the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like one of my big goals last year, like being able to come back was, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I'm just kind of
Great stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, go to town.
One of my big goals last year was like trying to be that person for like we had a few young girls last year in the trumpet section. It was like trying to be that person for them. Even though like I still could barely play trumpet and like I barely knew what I was doing. I was like, as long as I pretend to know what I'm doing, they'll think I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And like they'll have that kind of person to like, oh, when I came in, like I could see like, oh, I can be like Grace. Like it's kind of like a success, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that was like my big goal last year to do that.
Yeah. And if I may dare say, I think you did a great job.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
That's one of the things I remember. I think we were doing prop crew or something, and like we were all, there's a bunch of us just like putting up together that big monstrosity of a prop that we had. And it was you staying around with, a couple of our younger trumpet ladies that were there. And I remember thinking, I was like, Grace is the best. I was like, she's over there, and like these poor, like scared young members, because everyone's a scared young member when you come in and you're in high school, right? I'm like, you're giving them a person to talk to, a friend to be that's also a vet. And like you said, that example to be like, hey, I'm still here, my second year. I made it, right? I'm feeling confident and like I've got my feet under me, right? You can be that too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
that was like kind of my whole thing of like, if you have no one to talk to, I want you to know like you can talk to me. Kind of like that older sister kind of thing. Yeah. That was so I think like being able to come back to that was like a huge thing of like, And a lot of them said to me at the end of the season, they're like, I thought you were so good when I first, not that was bad, but like, they were like,
and then I realized.
Right. They're like, I thought you were like this like crazy trumpet player when I first joined. This is like, I guess how I was like carrying myself. And I was like, you have no idea. Like, I am just
Perception
okay.
is everything.
Yeah.
That's
the difference between a first year and a second year member is astronomical.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. So, all right. So moving on.
Yeah.
So you were a first year member when Grace was trying to be her awesome lady.
Yeah.
How did you? How was your experience your first year in drum corps?
Yeah. I know the biggest fear coming into it was finding like community and people and friends, because before I went to Buccaneers, I actually auditioned for another corps and I got a call back and then I ran out of money. So I was like, well, I can't do this anymore. So I'm just going to go to the Buccaneers because it's cheaper. And then, but I was like, it's all age. There's a lot of old people, and the mellow section especially was, sorry, no offense, kind of
old.
It's old, yeah.
Geriatrics on Mars.
We are very old there. Yes.
Oh yeah, old and loud.
Very loud. But that was the awesome thing because everyone was so friendly and so inviting. Like I remember the other corps that I went to, like I was there for an entire weekend and I barely talked to anyone. I made no friends. There was such a sense of like competitiveness, and it was very cutthroat, it felt like, and the Buccaneers didn't feel that way for me. And coming into, like, I know Kirsten, she went to Towson, and so the entire weekend talked to me about Towson and all of that. You were so friendly, inviting. You scared me at first.
Oh, really?
That's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh, you're all friendly, Mike, and terrifying, Rod.
Like you were funny, but there was just like you were like big section leader dude who did Blue Nights, and I was like, that's just scary. But
all right.
I
just big fat old man roly poly, just like, hey, how's it going?
It's me, the friendly giant.
But it was just so awesome because I found that community within the section, and then like the Natalies were formed because it was all of the young rookie girls who were within 5 years of each other, which was great. So
yeah. It was the ones who kept getting confused from the boxers, like Caroline. Nope.
No.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
Nope.
And they were still screwing it up during finals weekend.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's one of my proudest shticks I've ever created in drum corps history is the Natalies.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that.
We can explain that for the
for
the four people.
For all the three people out there that understand this. So our illustrious geriatric visual tech Lou
Was
doesn't
it Lou that you did too?
Yeah, so
funny.
Lou doesn't know your name ever. He's like, you're just a person. And I'm just trying to make you better.
And don't take it personally.
Yeah.
I came back from my third year in drum corps after March, and at one rehearsal he called me white shirt. Like, Lou, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm like one of the 4 vets in this entire I'm one of the 4 vets who's been here for more than 2 years in this entire drum corps.
So at one point, like we were in the ballad, and like he kept talking to Susan, and he was like, "Hey, you," and I was like, "For love of God, Lou, her name is Natalie. It's not Natalie, obviously." And he was like, "Okay, whatever, Natalie, go." And I was like, "Yes." And I'm like, my goal was to get him to call her Natalie for the rest of the season. And then I think she went and said something to, I can't remember how it happened, but like Lou went to call somebody else, and I was like, her name is Natalie.
Yes. Lou was, I'm sure, one of the people that would confuse you guys all the time.
Yes.
Similar height girls in the section.
Same hair colors.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, you, and I'm like, Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie.
That one's Natalie.
It's Natalie. And
they'd be like, what about that one? I'd be like, she's Natalie.
I think it wasn't until finals that Lou realized we were messing with him. So that was really one of my... Sorry, Lou. I know you're watching this right now. I just like messing with you.
Yeah. It's so fun to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Best part of the season.
Yeah, and that's great. And those are the kind of things that we hope, especially from a vet member who understands how difficult it is to be a new member. We hope like stupid stuff like that to kind of like helps you guys form bonds and become comfortable and everything. So I'm happy to know that at least I made that impression on you. So
you eventually helped.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
It took you a couple of weeks, and I was like, oh, he's chill.
Yeah. Well, I gotta be in.
You have to be a
section
boss.
leader mode.
Yeah.
The funniest thing was like last year, a couple people told me I scared them, which was like the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Because like, especially like all of you guys know from 22 is like, I never spoke to anybody. And then for people to be like, oh, at first I was so intimidated by you. Like multiple guard people told me that. And I was like, maybe it's just the eyebrow piercing. Like, I really don't know.
She's a real badass.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always, I think for new members, it's always intimidating to watch somebody who just knows what they're doing and instinctively does it. Right. So after once you hit your second year, you're just like, oh, set means this means that. Right. And you just go and you do it and you understand how to practice, how to rehearse, and you kind of know those things. So it makes it very easy for you to look, I don't know, maybe not intimidating, but because you're so good at just doing the basics,
Yeah.
then it just makes you look good.
I also think like when someone when someone has a focus to them,
Mm.
like, and when it's like, they can lock in with ours a little bit, it can make them seem, if you're new and you don't know that they're just locked in, right? It can make them seem like aloof almost, or like standoffish
Cold
a little bit.
Yeah.
That's like I always share that story of like, when we did the no talking block as a Horn Lion Blue Knights, and the color guard thought we were mad at them because we wouldn't talk, we wouldn't respond to them, because we were like super focused. They were, that kind of thing. That can read if you don't know that people are just like focused and trying to do
what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys this then, because you guys both seem to have pretty good experiences so far, especially as young members and as ladies. Is there something that maybe could have been done differently or in a different way, or something that you just maybe personally would go, it would really help if things were said or talked about, or these kind of things, like anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, something I can think of like off the top of my head was like I was really uncomfortable with the shower situation my first year, and I think like a lot of, I think a lot of rookies are, but I think like it's such like with like, at least from my outside perspective, it seems like the guys are kind of like, yeah, whatever, like we're just
That's exactly
guys, whatever, and I think it's like I think if there was more of a, I don't know, like I didn't have anyone being like, it's okay if you don't feel uncomfortable. It was kind of like, go shower, Grace. What are you doing?
So everybody was trying to talk to you a little more matter of factly,
right?
Just stop being whatever about it. Just go do it, right? Yeah, maybe there's
also
more
like
tenderness about
Yeah.
I also remember I remember thinking about that because I remember hearing that something like getting to that first point where we had like a competition. It was like you have to shower before you compete. Don't put your sweaty body in the uniform,
right?
And being like, do we like warn people? Like, I don't think
I was not warned about.
I was like,
I
I remember being like, it's gonna be a weird conversation to have, but like, we should warn people like, hey, this is like a sports team, right?
Yeah.
That, like, at some point we're gonna have, we're gonna have a competition, and you have to shower before the competition, and we're more than likely gonna have to use gym showers,
right?
That are not individual.
Yeah.
Right? And just to like prep people to be like, oh, that's a thing I'm gonna have to deal with. At some point.
Because I know like my first show, I had no prep. Like I didn't really know anything about drum corps at all going into it. I just kind of showed up.
Yeah.
So like I didn't know about like the sleeping, in gym floors or like at random people's houses. Like I had no idea. Like,
you don't know what to expect,
any of that. And when we showed up to the first show and they're like, okay, and now you're gonna go shower with like 30 of your closest friends. I was like, I'm gonna do what? Like what are you talking about?
Were you 18 at that point too?
Yeah.
An adult? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that makes it. Yeah, now that we finally have actually been like 18 up showers and then 18 below showers, which is definitely the right shift to make.
Yeah.
It's being in the 18 and up one is probably like, because at least in the under 18, it's like everyone's probably new and it's like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And it gives you some camaraderie. Versus in the 18 up, there's a bunch of people that have been here for 1,000 years being like, whatever.
Yeah.
Showers. Yeah.
Trust
and don't even think anything of it.
Right. Yeah. I had the same shell shock when I was, I was a 16-year-old kid, and me and my two other friends that were in high school, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was just showers, right? And it was all the corps in the same, because I think the Clifton show was first that year. So, it was the Connecticut show. But either way, we all used the same shower. So here
that's
I
even
am,
wilder when it's like a bunch of people that you don't know.
Yeah. Here I am, 16-year-old me, when drum corps or the all age activity was not all age, it was definitely senior.
Yeah.
It was like 40, it was like everybody my age now, that everybody was 40, and here's 16-year-old me just wandering in a shower trying to take a shower, and everybody's like,
Like, I've never met you before.
Yeah. There's a random naked dude that's 55 years old, and I'm like, good Lord,
This is dude in Clifton showers in 2015. It's offering you pizza. You're like,
the male showers are
don't take the
Yeah.
pizza.
Oh,
Don't
we've
take the
heard.
shower pizza.
Don't take shower pizza.
Just do it in the horse head.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So did you have, same question.
Yeah.
What is something that might have helped you settle in, or something you would have preferred to have, like, that might have helped?
I mean, I think it's really the same thing with Grace with like the showering situation and just some of those like weirder moments where it's like you don't know about that before you sign up for this, and then you get into it, you're like, well, crap, we have to do this now. So it's pretty much that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You stole
like
mine.
a general, a better job prepping for the weird parts of drum corps that you like, like sleep on a gym floor in just a room full of open people. Right, that's stuff you're gonna have to adjust to.
Yeah, I think I said it's similar to what I said a couple episodes ago with staff and being, like year to year they forget that they have to continuously say the same things.
Yes.
Right.
We become numb to the idea that like, oh yeah, that's just what happens, but you guys don't know that, right?
Right.
You just don't know that.
Yeah.
So
I'd be curious to know. You guys are, about to do move-ins. It's pretty much now or never when they're going to tell you the weird stuff to expect. How have Crossman and Scouts been handling especially if you say there's a lot of new people, a lot of rookies, have been handling here's what tour life is going to happen is going to be like, and here are the situations that you're going to find yourself in, and the things that you're going to be expected to do besides rehearsal, right? How have they been prepping you guys for that?
Yeah, I feel like at every camp they kind of talk about different things, and at least at Crossman they're really good about this is the shower situation. We have under 18, over 18 for each, and then we also have individual showers. So it's that's a cool thing too of people who don't feel comfortable, or maybe non-binary members can shower separately.
Yeah, people who need accommodations.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is
started doing, which is nice.
Yeah, that's been really great. A separate thing, but but we haven't Caroline just got off her Zoom call for move-ins. We haven't really had anything like that, but we have a lot of stuff in the Discord coming out, because we use Discord there of our caption doubles have these long messages about this is what you need, and we have a band thing. So I feel pretty prepared. I think. I think I have the advantage of DCI all age of you guys. If I really need something, I know I have the Buccaneers alumni thing. I can be hey, do I need to bring this on tour or stuff like that. But
how about you? How's Madison? Like you said, you just got off the call. So
just got off the Zoom call where they kind of talk about schedule and what to expect with spring training. I know I've only been to one in-person camp because I had a Towson thing for the April camp, and then March was virtual. But they were pretty good about prepping for the showers. They explained what it's going to be before we got to camp, which was great. Our horn sergeant is also the mellow section leader, so she's made a group chat with all of us and has been putting things in there about what to expect for move-ins and everything.
And a female too.
Yeah, which is awesome.
That's super neat. Female horn sergeant at Scouts. Yeah,
well, female horn sergeant, and then our trumpet section leader is also a woman, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's. Oh, I just had a question.
I have something to say if you don't.
Go for it.
Continue.
I think going off what we were talking about before, I think another thing that I was not prepared for is that most times at drum corps you don't wear a shirt. I had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah. Again, another
when
thing
I
that
first showed
I'm sure the two of us don't even think about.
Right.
Oh yeah, you go to drum corps, you didn't have a shirt on. Yeah.
And when I first showed up, and of course, in 22, there's only 9 women, and I was the youngest girl there too, which also didn't help.
Right.
So I had no one except for Beach, who was my age. So it was kind of we're still young teenage girls who are not comfortable, and it was no one else really prepared us or was oh it's fine, it's just just take your shirt off, it's fine,
it's the whole it's not going to be weird,
right? But it's hard to get around that when you're first starting,
because you don't know,
especially around people that
around people that you have just met this year,
right? And going into drum corps, I heard so many horror stories of stuff that happens on and that I was quite nervous, I will say. It's stuff like that just it's something in the back of your head that you're oh, I heard something, it's
right.
So
what you had another.
I had
that was getting ready to react.
I just had
the same
things
questions.
to say. Yeah.
That's, okay. That's why we have you guys on, so you can say all the things.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Help prepare those ladies out there that are trying to hop in, or young members. Doesn't have to be just ladies.
I do remember my question now. Because Grace, you mentioned this. I thought it'd be a good segue. You mentioned how you feel like you're feeling pretty prepared because you have you feel like you have a bit of a leg up, right? Having 2 years or 1 year of DCA experience. Can you speak more to how you feel the DCA or the all age experience has prepared you, and maybe given you a leg up on the other people that are joining and marching world class for the first year?
Yeah. I think because as we kind of talked about, I'm not trying to put myself down, but I know I'm not the best trumpet player. That's just what it is. I've only been playing for 2 years. I do my best, whatever. But I think something that DCA has helped me a lot, having that experience, is I kind of know how to drum corps. Even though I don't know how to DCI drum corps, I kind of know every weekend camp is just a Bucks weekend. When we show up for these winter camps, it's Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. So knowing how to kind of lock in on Friday night, I know you guys have talked about that, locking in and then being there all day Saturday is I think the biggest thing of I know I need this. I have a carabiner on my backpack. I have my towel ready. I have my gloves. This is kind of stuff no one needs to tell me because I've been doing it for 2 years.
Right.
Of course I don't know tour stuff yet, but that has really helped of I know now. I know how to drum corps, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Same question.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that Grace said, is there's so many like little things that you don't think of when you go into the season. And that's like what all age really taught me, was like having a carabiner in my backpack because you're never going to have hands because you have to carry so much stuff. Using the Gold Bond powder when you're chafing in the middle of July because it's so hot out.
Yeah.
Like just the little things like that you're like, no one tells you and there's no list for, but it's there. And I know you guys like, well, you, because you didn't do tour, but you did. Right?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I did tour. I did different tour.
Right. Yeah.
This kind of tour people shoot at you.
I'm not doing that one.
Yeah.
But I know like you mentioned things, Tiago mentioned things about like the little things that you need on tour, like how to survive like with the bus environment. I know Jack Hope, he talked about it a lot. So just knowing those little things.
Yeah, I can imagine having so many people who have already done the experience, right? Because DCI All Age is kind of filled with tons of of DCI world class veterans that are obviously aged out now and moved on and are still trying to live the glory days like us. But we have a good bit of experience, and then I know at least for me, I always try to share as much as I can because like. I hope that it sounds like it does help, from everybody I talk to, is that, just talking to me like, hey, this is the things that you can expect and that kind of stuff. So I'm really happy to see that both of you, or at least you, Grace, from last year, and I'm sure you will do the same thing, is, taking the young women that are probably in just as scared as you were the first time and going, come on, little chicken.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly that.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. I got another question.
Yeah, go for it.
This is another semi-generic question that we always ask to all the DCI people, but one I love hearing about. What are you in particular, either just about tour in general or about specifically the corps or shows that you're going to be marching? What are you most excited for this coming summer?
I have an answer so prepared for this.
Oh boy!
Hold on, no, you have to go second this time.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I
You
gotta
have to
hold
go-
it
Let
in.
him wait.
Unless you're not ready, in that case, we can go.
No, I've got it.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just doing band for 2.5 months straight. Because I know there were like weekends last year where I would like leave and I'd be like, I want to do band. Like, I don't want to go home. Or we had that one weekend off in the middle of August. And like, I was like, well, I want to do band. And so just getting to do so much band and getting to go travel and doing it and seeing so many places that I haven't seen before while also doing band, which is going to be so exciting.
That's
And we're also doing a parade where we get Piggly Wiggly shirts.
Nice.
So that's up there on the list too.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
And I want to say, I've shared this somewhat sentiment of this before. Take that feeling, and when you are 20 days into spring training and everything feels miserable and you're like, I won't be doing anything other than band right now. Remember that and just like remind yourself like, no, what I'm doing right now is cool. I'm very, it's been a long time that I've been doing it now, but like if that feeling starts to creep in, which it more than likely is going to at some point in the tour, right? Just remember that feeling that you've got right now, right? Of like, no, this is a cool thing, right? I try to remind myself of that multiple times on tour, being like, because it was like 15 days into spring training or something. I was feeling miserable. And I was like, I get to do band right now. Like, I get to do a cool high-level band. I get to do the thing that I love. And I get to just keep doing it, right? For like 60 more days. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Grace.
Go ahead, Grace.
I am most excited to go to Buc-ee's for the first time. Personally. I cannot wait to go to Buc-ee's. Which, like, when I tell the Texas people, because Crossman is in Texas and we have a lot of Texas people, and I'm like, guys, I cannot wait to go to Buc-ee's. And they're like, we go to Buc-ee's all the time. It's like Wawa to them. Like, they go to Buc-ee's all the time. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I cannot wait to take a picture with the Buc-ee's statue. Like, I am so excited.
You'd be like, I've seen this beaver logo on so many people's shorts
Literally.
and shirts at Bucks.
But like a more serious answer, I'm most excited for the New Jersey show, personally. They're removing it right now, but it'll just be really cool. Of like last year, like my whole high school came out to that show, like my high school band director, like a bunch of kids from my high school, and it'll just be like, it's like a cool full circle moment of like, I'm the first trumpet player from my high school, or not, whatever. I'm the first person from my high school to march trumpet in world class DCI like ever.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is
That's
crazy because I
awesome.
never played trumpet at that school.
Right. Yeah.
So that's like going to be a really cool moment of like being able to be like the first for like my school. So yeah.
Pioneer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously the Crossmen are huge in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big, like Allentown, it is their home show.
Yeah.
And there's there's that one show in Jersey where, because Crossman's from the
Yeah.
side.
And we're going to be the like alumni performance at semis this year.
Oh,
So there's like 400, we have like 350 alumni or something coming out to perform at semis like how Troopers did last year.
Yep.
I am so excited.
I'm so glad that's a trend now.
Yeah, it's such a
so
cool
excited.
it's such a cool thing. I gotta say, so like I was never March Troopers, but I was with the Troopers alumni last year, and being in that alumni, and again, like I was never a part of the group, but they made me feel so much like a trooper.
Yeah.
When the rest of the competing corps was on the sidelines, they were going absolutely ape shit
I
over
cannot
the
wait.
show. I hope you guys do the same thing for them, because it's nothing like a bunch of old dudes trying to relive the
Right.
glory days.
Yeah.
These people love me. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool experience.
And then we'll get to like go in the arc and play with them.
Oh,
and
that's
we're
awesome.
playing quite a Crossman classic. I don't think I can say, but
Okay. Yeah.
it'll be good. I'll
It's
say that.
probably Birdland. No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's really
We would-
awesome.
If you feel comfortable enough at some point, you should yell at John Mabel to play Birdland. At some point, he was talking like play Birdland.
Yeah.
Because we would do that all the time when he was caption head or tech at Bucks. We'd be like, John, play Birdland.
That's so good.
He'd be like,
Yeah.
I think he did it once.
Yeah, that's
We
funny.
finally broke him.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's. I'll ask this question because I always like to ask this question too. You have a year, you have 2 years left. You already kind of said maybe we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But if you're so excited to do band every day, see how this goes.
Yeah.
Do you feel like both of these organizations are organizations that you might stay with, after the next thing? Because a lot of times, one of the things that's really, it's a little bit more endear to my generation, I think, is jumping from corps to corps was never a thing. Like
Right.
if you even went to audition at a different corps in when I was in my age out year and everything else, they'd have been like, what are you doing here?
Right.
Go back to your drum corps, right? And I wouldn't say that's not frowned upon anymore, but it's a little bit more normalized that you can go from a 12 pace or like maybe not making finals corps to jumping up into, the old school way was like you stay here and we fight and we try to get
Right.
back into finals or we try to win or whatever the case is. So do you guys feel like if you have a really great experience with your organizations that they're both places that you would probably go back to?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. My goal right now, because I've been thinking about that, like, because my goal this year was just to make a world-class drum corps. I was like,
Understandable. Yeah.
not that I didn't care where, but I was like, whoever gives me a contract, that's where I'm gonna go. Like, I'm lucky to even be given a contract. So that's how I felt. So I was like, Crossman's giving me a contract, that's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And then like, of course, like I've started to love it as I've been there, and like I really like the organization. But so like, I don't know what the plan is next year as of right now. But my like goal right now is to not think of it as like I'm going somewhere else, but only focus on being there right now.
Yeah, that's great.
So like just trying to appreciate my time as a Crossman, and then if I have a really good time and be like, why would I go anywhere else? I just had a great time as a Crossman.
Right.
But if maybe like we'll see at the end of the season how I feel, or like depends, maybe how we place, stuff
Right,
like that. But as of right now, like go Bones,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, same idea.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing as Grace. I came into this season just wanting to march world class corps. I didn't really have my eyes on Madison, but they kind of fell into my lap as an option. And I'm like, the time I've spent there has been really, really awesome. And the staff is so great. And it's just a great corps and a great environment. And if this season goes well and I have money next year, I'll probably go back because
Cash is always important.
because the whole process of just going around trying to find a corps and find a home for the summer is hard.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's so much money and there's so much time that you invest in it just to maybe get cut after a callback. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through that again and deal with that. And then just after I get old, I'm definitely going back to Buccaneers because I miss
Yeah.
it so much.
That was my next question, is that,
Yeah, coming
it's some,
back?
once you guys,
100%.
that's awesome.
You guys
Yeah.
can't get rid of me anytime.
Darn.
You're 69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why my golden year's a question because that's
everyone-
the
Yeah,
69th
next year I
anniversary.
come back after age on. I am so
everyone's
there.
showing up
Yeah.
at 26.
And yeah, 26 is going to be a crazy year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next year after is an anniversary. Could you imagine if, because everyone comes back for year 69 for the bit,
right.
Yeah.
in 26, and the next year is also an anniversary year, and like everyone kind of sticks around, and we just have like 2 super vet years in a row.
Oof, man.
Awesome.
It's going to be so stacked.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
This-
That'd be hilarious.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle that. A super vet year is a hard year because
Yeah, I feel like it depends.
it's a hard emotional year because you still have rookies like you always have, right?
Right.
And then you have the super vets that come back that have a very old expectation of what they're trying to come back to. Like,
expectations are set in a certain way.
yeah, like if you march in 2010 and then you come back to the 2026 Buccaneers, like there is a very different organization, there's different everything, but people come back with a very, this is what I want, and because they have already done it before, they have a chip on their shoulder about whatever it is, and it tends to be tends to be some clashing that happens in those years.
Yeah.
Not all the time. This doesn't
It
happen
can
all
be,
the time,
yeah.
but it definitely can be. It can exist.
Yeah.
So I don't want that.
I still though, I hear the stories about how there was some of those super vet, big personalities and headbutting
They are powerful.
in 2017. And yet I watched that show and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
It is worth
Yeah.
it. I don't care. I'll fight people with my hands during the year. That means we can have a show
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And
I'm cool with 1 year like that. Like
Exactly, yeah.
every
Right.
5
Well,
years. Yeah.
see, but like in the 2026 season, we'd probably get all those super vets that are like, funny joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are maybe a little cooler about things.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
then we bring back the saltier ones in 27, and all the super vets that came back that have a license to humor are like, no, guys, it's cool.
Yeah.
It worked out perfectly.
We're
This
chill
is
now.
this is my
Yeah.
this
It's
is
gonna
my
work, yeah.
headcanon for how it's gonna
So-
go.
Yeah. So if you guys, if you can't find the cash next
Mhm.
year, or just maybe you're good, would you guys would just come back next year then?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. So that
For
I mean
sure.
that's great. I love that. I love that. I'm happy that the environment that we have created and that you are now creating for like you did last year for young women and young people is so it's influenced you so much. You go, why would I go anywhere
Right.
else? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's
Yeah.
and that's what I really think builds great drum corps, in other
Yeah.
places. Like, you said you auditioned someplace else and it was very competitive and it was
Yeah.
a little bit like not as home feeling.
Not very welcoming.
Yeah, welcoming.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to make great organizations, you want to build sustainability amongst your members, like making it a place that feels good to the people that come there.
Yeah.
And every corps has their own thing. Like maybe I don't know what corps it was, but like whatever it is, like that's just their thing, right? And that's their vibe, right? So I love hearing that because it
Yeah.
gives me hope for the future when I eventually retire, which isn't until 2032.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
And also, it's just good. It's just heartwarming to know that people march there and want to keep marching
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we did something right. We did something right with how we, with the atmosphere that we created and the culture
Yeah.
we made.
yeah, that's super important to me personally. Because me, I'm loud and boisterous and kind of obnoxious everywhere. But it's really, really like I always say hello to everybody. I always try to make members in the line feel as membery as they can. Like
Yeah.
that's I don't give staff always yell at me and I get
Yeah.
in their way and they're angry at me all the time. That's what you get paid for to deal with me. You know?
Yeah.
My job, as in my self-proclaimed job, is always to make everybody feel happy and comfortable and like
Yeah.
have a good time, and be as positive as I can
Yeah.
within the lower levels, the lower ranks.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I was joking the other day because I went to see you guys at your preview
yeah.
show, and I was joking with my mom, and I was saying like it feels like I was going to say bye to my extended family before leaving for college or something.
yeah.
I was like, I gotta say, I gave everyone hugs, and it was so nice, and I was like, it just feels like I'm seeing like my like aunts and uncles before I leave for college. Like it's like I gotta go out of state for a few years, but I'll be back,
right.
and
Hey,
it'll
Hoss.
be
I like to ask you guys a great one to Adam. I want to ask, with this being your first experience with going on tour, right? What are you? I want to say like most anxious about, right? Or like slightly worried about of like, oh, I've got this experience with DCA, but like it is going to be different, right?
DCI all age.
yeah.
Well, technically, when they were marching, it wasn't DCA.
True.
it was
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah, that's true. Okay,
So-
fine. I'm trying to confuse the terminology. That's all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
The listeners need to know.
maybe think before you speak next time.
Yep.
But so yeah, what would you what's like a concern, right, or an anxiety that you had of like this about this new experience you're gonna undergo?
Yeah. I think like my biggest thing is that I'm worried like I'm gonna get 2 weeks into spring training and like hate everything and like really be miserable. I'm really like because I feel like I know what like a day of drum corps looks like, but I don't know what like 2 weeks of doing drum corps every day
Right.
looks like. Like that's just like an unknown to me, like completely. So and I also think I'm worried about like really messing up and like forgetting something in Oklahoma and then leaving and I'm in South Carolina now and like I think like packing and stuff is something that's really stressing me out right now as I am packing. Like I spent all this week just like trying to organize my suitcase and being like I have no idea what's going on. Like it's so overwhelming. So I think that's my biggest thing is I'm really stressed about like either hating everything and like
Yeah.
really not enjoying it or like packing really poorly.
Right.
Yeah, I can attest to it before Caroline shares hers. I can say first of all, packing is so stressful.
Yeah.
I had the same thing. I was like my mom and I were like getting big like multi-gallon Ziploc bags of clothing and like pressing the
Yeah.
air out of them to try and like compress them into and like organize them like Tetris all of my crap into a single suitcase.
Yeah.
And like I'm looking at the packing list. I'm like, oh, what do I need? What do I need? What do I need? Oh my god. It is very stressful, right? Have Bets like sent out a packing list? Yet?
Yeah, they sent out a packing
helpful.
list. But
Yeah, I mean it is always stressful, and like, you know, the truth of it for packing is you might forget something, but it'll be okay, right? You can bum it off other people for a second. You can wait until there's like a buy stop or a point where you can buy something, right? Like mistakes will happen more than likely, but they're fine. Right? I lost my phone's ability to charge.
no.
Mid-season. Not the phone, not the charger, the phone, a drop of water from my water bottle went down and hit between the charger and the port while on the bus and like zapped it, and it filled the whole bus with a burning smell for a second. And then my phone would not charge through the charger. I did cry then. I was so stressed by that point. Even so, we had a Walmart stop the next day, and I bought a wireless charger, and I was like, it's fine. It works out, right? This crap goes wrong on tour, and you figure it out, right? Yeah. Especially, you are going to have people around you that will either have extra stuff, or, you know, if there's a few vets, they will have been through it before, right? And they're there to help out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. As to the hating it halfway through, first of all, I want to say, knowing you, at least, I don't think that'll happen long term, at least, right? Because some people do end up being like, I'm miserable here, right? But I think, given the experience that you've had, right, that's a rare occurrence, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There will be moments during particular parts of the day where you're like, I think I hate this. I think this is miserable, right? But then those same days, you're going to have moments where you're just having a good block, or someone says something funny to you and you're hanging out with your friends where you're like, oh, never mind. This is what I came here for.
Right.
It will fluctuate some days, but I think you will be good on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, similar answer to Grace with the packing thing. That's been the most stressful part of my life right now. So I'm like, I need 14 pairs of shorts. I don't own 14 pairs of shorts. I've had to buy 14 pairs of shorts.
Yeah, right.
So it's just making sure that I have everything I need, and that like that little part of my life that I am allowed to manage, that I manage it correctly. And like I wake up on time and my air mattress doesn't break. And here, okay, 3 hours of sleep, go do drum corps now because you were on a bus for those 3 hours, because I can't sleep on buses, which is going to be a fun time.
You have to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. So I mean, there's that. And then I'm a huge coffee drinker. And I know this is like such a dumb thing, but there's no caffeine.
Oh,
from what like
Are
they
there
don't give us
not?
they don't give us coffee
They
from
give
what
us
I've heard.
coffee.
I mean, maybe they'll give us coffee. I don't know.
Buy caffeine pills.
I might.
I bought Mio caffeine
Don't buy
drops.
caffeine.
Those are a big thing.
Yeah.
Don't buy caffeine pills.
No,
Listen,
that's-
I can tell you right now, the way to get over it, and it's going to be tough, but you might as well do it now before. No, this week.
Okay.
Like starting now, because you're leaving in a week, right? Less than a
Less
week.
than a week.
Less than a week. Just cut it out now.
Oh God.
And it's going to suck because you're going to be like, all I want is the sweet nectar of coffee before you
Yeah.
go. But you just gotta bite the bullet now, so you can sleep in your own bed in discomfort, and you can wake up the next morning, have a little bit of a headache, and just take an ibuprofen. If you just drink a bunch of water, like a half a gallon to a gallon a day, and just overload your body with water, 3 to 4 days, your coffee cravings will be gone, your headaches will be
Really?
gone. Yeah, possible.
Okay.
I do it at least every 3 months, because I'm a big coffee drinker too, and I don't like being. Two things. One, I don't like being addicted to it.
That's valid.
Right. And the other thing is that it doesn't work for me after so long.
Okay.
It doesn't give me the jolt because
Right.
my body's used to it. So I go through a purge that I keep off coffee for like 2 months at a time. And then I go back to it. And I just kind of go back and forth through it like that. And then I get back into coffee. But I just go hard one day. I go, okay, today's the day. And I just have to mentally like push myself through 2 or 3 days. And I'm just hammering water all day, like to the point where I feel bloated. And then after 2-3 days, my headaches are gone. They don't even exist anymore. So maybe do that before you go to spring training and you can't have your coffee.
I'll start that Sunday.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I just need a couple days to like
Yeah.
To
indulge.
prepare for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Mentally
Yeah.
prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because that's the same thing. I went through a massive caffeine withdrawal when I went into the Army.
Yeah.
Because they don't let you have caffeine at all through basic training and IT. I didn't know that. And I also,
Interesting.
I didn't.
So on tour they do, but like when you're deployed they do.
As soon as we're out of basic training, they're like, yeah, you can drink whatever you want.
Cool,
Don't really
yeah.
care. The entire military runs on caffeine. But at basic training, it's called, you drink water and that is it. You know, and then if you're underweight like I was, you could have milk. You know,
Lucky duck.
yeah, right. Like, ooh, check it out. But yeah, you just got there. I got there, and I was drinking. This is how bad I was when I was a kid. Like I had a year break between high school and there, so it's kind of like living on my own. And I was like, oh, I'm going to drink a case or case and a half of soda a day.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so the sugar and caffeine that I was taking in was just astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the basic and they were like, you can't have that. Cold sweats for 3 days straight. I was just like, I was going through wild caffeine withdrawal, and it was the worst thing. And all my drill sergeants, they told me they're just like, just drink, man, just drink. And it was like, I was in bed, I couldn't do anything, and shoving water down my face. And like as soon as I drank a crap ton of water, it just almost went away immediately. And,
Okay.
yeah, it helps. It helps a lot.
It's also funny that you mentioned the 14 pairs of shorts. I want you to guess how many pairs of shorts my horn sergeant had at Blue Knights.
Is it less or more?
It's one.
One? Oh, that's awful.
That's crazy.
One pair of shorts with him.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
Terrible.
That's
I'm
disgusting.
not saying to bring only one pair of shorts, but I am saying you probably need less shorts than you think.
Yeah.
Although luckily shorts don't take up that much space.
They don't.
Yeah.
You do need lots of pairs of underwear because you don't want to rewear those obviously. But like
Yeah.
you're probably gonna have to rewear shorts on tour at some point, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Really, because everybody's doing it.
Right.
You know?
Everyone's
Exactly.
stinky.
Yeah, everybody's going to stink at the same time. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. You
So-
keep it right. I would put the dirty laundry into a different spot, like in my bag. I would sequester them from each other. There was a point where we went like 3 weeks without a laundry block,
Oh wow.
and it was bad. I had to rewear everything by that point. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh god.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
So I have one last question. I think I think you already answered yours a little bit, but how many ladies, women are in just the horn line that you know? Because usually the guard's pretty balanced. It's like a 50-50 split. But do you guys know how many women are going on tour with you that you'll be able to be like, you know, have that grouping of people that you can kind of hang out with?
Yeah, I don't think I have a number off the top of my head, but we do have like, I wanted to mention this earlier, but I forgot to because I just was talking about something else. But
Yeah, you're welcome.
But we have it here, and we had it at Bucks my first year. We had one last year, but we didn't use it as much. We have a separate like group chat for just like we call it the non-dick havers group chat.
Nice.
Just like the non-men in the Corps in the group
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
And we had one at Bucks my first year too, and like it helped so much of just like we would complain in there all the time after rehearsal in 22 because you know like I've mentioned a couple times like it was only 9 of us, you know.
Right.
All
So
these
we would like
dudes
talk
around
about
us.
some stupid thing some baritone guy said, or
It's
like
always a
you know,
baritone.
yeah, unfortunately, or like you know the stuff that we were like, oh that sucked so much, you know, having that place to just like have like this little
Vent.
safe space was really nice, and we
Yeah.
have one of those at Crossman, so I don't have like a certain number, but like that is really nice.
Yeah.
We do have 6 non-men trumpets at Crossman, which is a quarter of the section,
Wow.
which
I'll
is
say, yeah, I was
really
gonna-
nice.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It's
yeah.
really awesome, and so my roommate is a fellow 3rd trumpet girl, so it's
cool.
like really cool to have
That's
that.
neat, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you know what your
I don't have exact numbers. There's more than 5 in the mellow section, which
More
is
than
more
5
than
girls?
Bucks, but it's
Wow,
also a bigger
okay.
mellow section. So
yeah.
the math kind of
Yeah.
probably evens itself out there. But it's really awesome. Our horn sergeant is a woman.
Right.
Shout out Katie if you're watching this.
You should be.
Yeah, which is really great. Our trumpet section leader, one of them is a woman. Shout out Olivia. I never told her name. And we have our visual caption head, Sierra, is a woman. And then we also have a couple of women on staff in the visual team too, which is really awesome to see.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, especially for Madison, somebody who's just recently, within the
Yes.
last like 4 or
Yeah.
5 years, you know, begun to allow women in the organization.
It's cool to see that they fully embrace that, and that women from all over Drum Corps have
Right.
fully embraced
Yes.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause
That's cool to see.
It could have been easily something that they were just like, yeah, we'll let women in, and then there's like 5 of you there, and like they don't give any
Yeah.
leadership roles to people
Right.
who deserve
Right.
it, and like do those things. But they're obviously not doing that, right?
No, they're not.
One woman trumpet soloist throughout
Right.
the whole show.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really,
Yeah.
it's really cool. So I think I have my final question. Do you have any more? You're good.
I've got one final. You ask yours.
Okay, I'll ask. Okay, we'll both do
I
one more
wonder if
final
it's the
question.
same one.
So, what does it mean to either both of you to represent such a small, you know, specifically from the horn line perspective, right? I would say the drum line's the smallest representation
Yeah.
of women.
Oh, yeah.
And then the guard being the most, and then the horn line being in the
Yeah.
middle. What does it mean like to you, or what does it mean for you to be able to represent, you know, such a small group and be part of, you know, I think, I want to say an underappreciated, because I think I know I appreciate anybody that's coming at the play. I don't really care what you are.
Right.
But it is something that you have to look at from a factual standpoint and go, there's not a lot of girls out there doing what we do, and a lot of women that are involved in the activity, especially from a leadership role and all those things down. You know, how does it feel to be part of that small grouping to like represent, you know, just women in
Yeah.
general? Yeah.
I'll let Caroline answer first this time. I
Oh.
don't want to take her answer.
I mean, it's just a really awesome feeling, you know, like Scouts especially, they haven't allowed women for that long. I remember, I think I was either middle school or early high school, and like I saw the announcement come through and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it's a really awesome thing to be a part of something where it's, you kind of, I don't want to say we're trailblazer, but it's a thing of just being like someone who isn't normally in this group. And it's a cool feeling to have, to be able to be like, I do this, but stereotypes say I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Right.
So F stereotypes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, especially like the last part of like, it feels really cool. Like I was having this conversation with someone at my college recently because I'm in a jazz band there and I'm one of like 2 girls. I'm the only female trumpet player at my whole school.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not even a trumpet major. There's no female trumpet majors at my school. And it's like, even if you don't want to be, you kind of have to become like a role model of like I said, we were talking about it at our jazz thing, and I was like, I hope there's like some more girl trumpet players next year. And then the guy I was talking to was like, and then you'll be the, you know, like the person they look up to. And I was like, that's crazy that would be me, because like I'm not even a trumpet major. Like, but it's kind of like you have to assume that role of like that person, because there's no one else to. And I personally like, I love that. Like I take very much pride in that, and like I take it very seriously, as we kind of talked about like what I was doing last year at Bucks. Like I think it's so cool to be a part of a small group, like within something else, like especially Buccaneers are like such a family, and to have kind of like another small family. Like I always called the 3 trumpet girls last year my daughters. Like
Yeah. I always thought of you as their big sister.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Kind of having like another smaller family inside this big family, like that really means a lot to me personally. So it's like I will always want to be that for someone. Like I'm an art ed minor. Like I want to be a teacher, so like it kind of goes hand in hand with that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you do it very well too. I think Robbie said it earlier.
Yeah.
And I know that you would too, because I just know your personality.
Yeah.
I stood next to you a good bit of the show last year. And
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we had a good time.
You go up to any new woman in the corner and be like, "What's up, bestie?" And
Yeah.
she's like,
Exactly.
She is my bestie.
Yeah. Oh, we're best friends now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that transitions very well into my final question. If you had to give women in drum corps or getting into drum corps or thinking about getting into drum corps, maybe being hesitant about it, if you had to give them just a piece of advice that you've got a platform for now, right? I'm curious what that piece of advice would be.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to think about. That's really
Do you want to think? Because I have one.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
I'll think.
I want to give you a chance to think.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like, I know that
Nike.
sounds so like cliche, but like there's so many dumb things in life that are gonna hold you back, and like things are gonna happen, and anywhere you go, there's gonna be like something that scares you, and no matter how much it scares you, you should just do it because you want to do it, and it's band, and band is fun, and it was, you know, I know like going into it, there was money that was an issue, or like driving there, and like my dad was like, oh, here's like 10,000 things that could go wrong, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it because I want to do it, and I'm gonna figure the rest out later.
Right.
So to anyone going into it, just do it, and everything else kind of figures itself out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's great.
I so agree with that. And then kind of like going off what you're saying before, if part of the reason you're hesitant is because you're like, oh, it's kind of like they're so male dominated, like I shouldn't do this, you know, I should just do like, I don't know, something else. That there's more girls there, there's more community there. Part of the reason that I stuck with it was out of spite of like like
Powerful motivator.
literally, of like this is something where like there's not many people who, like someone who just started playing a brass instrument, like a small group of women doing it is like, I shouldn't be successful at this. So like that makes me want to even more. And also like I think if you let the fear of doing it, especially like I know part of the reason I was kind of hesitant or like nervous, kind of what I was talking about, is you hear all these terrible things that happen, especially to like women oftentimes in drum corps, and it's like if you let that stop you, that's kind of giving the power to those people. So like you just have to do it and like show them like you can't make me scared to not do drum corps. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you don't get to ruin this. For
Right.
the
Yeah.
rest of us.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. That's good.
Great. That's,
yes.
nice. That's a powerful statement. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, and if you are listening and you're inspired by these two young ladies, you know, and what they're saying, and I echo all those things too. And I know at least from my perspective, I know Robbie shares the same, you know, sentiment, is that there are lots of men in the activity that want to see women come into our activity because it is such a great place, and there are a lot of really good people. You know, like there's shitty people. There's shitty people everywhere. You know, and I could say, for at least from my perspective, let one of those shitty people come anywhere near my people.
Right.
You know, like I'll take care of them. You know,
Something.
and a lot of organizations now, especially in the all age activity, have a lot of really upper end powerful women that are part of the organizations. Our head drum major has been there for forever now. You know, she is, you know,
Incredible.
boss of all drum majors, right? Our assistant core director is a woman. You know, this year, and you know, we have our visual caption head is a woman. You know, shout out Lydia,
Shout out
and
Lydia.
Danny, and
Absolute
all
boss.
and all those things. You know, like, so there are a lot of really great, because of the women that came before you guys, that they're in those positions now because they said the same thing that you said, which is, I'm not going to let anybody stop me.
Right.
And now they're in great positions that, you know, that their gender hasn't held them back.
Right.
You know, and who they are, you know, and all those things too. So if you're out there and you want to get involved, like, try not to be scared. It is scary, but don't be scared. I think those are two different things.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll give you guys one last thing. If you have anything else you want to say, anything that comes to your mind, you know, go ahead and, you know, finalize anything. If you,
Any closing thoughts or anything like that?
The only thing that's coming to my mind right now that I wrote on my little notes sheet
yeah.
is I wanted to shout out all girl corps. And I always joke all the time that I'm going to bring back all female drum corps. And that the first three-peat was an all female drum corps. So shout out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
St.
Ignatius.
St. Ignatius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It was
awesome.
not the cadets. It was
That's
them.
great.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's my shout out.
Heck yeah.
Nice. Anything for you?
Nothing really. Yay band.
Yeah,
Yay woman band.
Yay band. Yeah. Women band. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I guess, I mean, that's, first off, thank you guys both so much. And then the last thing I'll ask you, because I've already asked you the last thing like 3 times now.
Final
point. At some point, because we've asked everybody else, some point during core, we'd love to be able to reach out to you guys and maybe do like a little phone check in and be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Are you guys both okay with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. You know,
That'd be
so we'll
awesome.
check in with you and each individually, and you know, and do a whole probably a whole episode on what's going on tour, probably like mid tour sometime.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
we'll
right.
text you guys.
It won't take long. It's like a 10-minute little chunk
Yeah,
out,
just
like lunch block or snack after rehearsal or laundry, right? We're going to be pretty open, so you guys,
You guys let us know when
it will
you're
be stressful. I know. It's like, oh, well, I've got 12 hours of practice today. I want
Right.
so you guys just let us know when you think is a good time. We will accommodate that.
Yeah, or if you're feeling good and you guys want to check in and be like, I got lots of things to
Right.
say. Like, let us know. We'll you know,
Yeah.
take whatever. But that's fun. I can't wait to hear from you guys on tour. It's going to be great. So I'll do my finish up. You know, thanks again, both of you, for coming in. I know you got a limited amount of time before you go on tour, so I appreciate you guys coming in. For everybody out there, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. If you're an old gentleman out there or woman that has young lady friends, their children, or anybody else who are trying to get in the activity, send them this episode, right? Let them take a look at, you know, 2 very successful women that are going into, you know, all age and are coming from all age into the world-class organization, and 2 woodwind players that went from that and then have found success. You know, so you don't have to be held back by those things. The only thing holding you back is you, really, at this point, right?
Yeah.
So thank you guys for coming in and sharing those experiences. Hit that subscribe button. Do all the normal YouTubey things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah. If you're a woman in drum corps or were in the past, right? We always call it for people to comment. You like share your experience or your advice, anything like that.
Yeah.
I would love if we get the perspective or comment from anyone who's in an all-female drum corps.
Yeah.
Be awesome.
Previously, just to
I would love
hear
it.
what that's like.
We have somebody coming in shortly who isn't in all these drum corps.
Wow.
Really?
No way.
You know, so the core director and founder, CEO, whatever, of Fusion Corps was part of St. Ignatius and Girls.
That's
Go
I
her.
don't.
That's good.
I don't think that she was in the 3P years,
Yeah.
but she was part of that organization. Yeah, it's
That's
one of the things
awesome.
she's
Go
super
her.
proud about.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So shout out Holly. So when you come in, maybe we'll get a little background or perspective on
Yeah.
because she's planning on coming in and
That's
talking about
awesome.
Fusion
I
at
love to
some
hear that.
point.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm even more excited now that I know that.
Yeah, exactly. So again, finalizing everything, we're good. I think we've you know, beat this horse to death. So you know, get out there, subscribe, and when you're out at shows, you see Caroline, you see Grace out there, you know, go ahead and say hello. Say we saw you on the show.
See you guys from the podcast.
Yeah, show them the podcast and shake hands and say good job and all those kind of good things, right? So,
Heck
all right,
yeah.
that's it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Off cycle.
Cool. Good job, guys.
Yay.
That was a great.
That was so fun.
So cool.
Good episode.